find yourself getting passed by multiple cars, as I mentioned earlier on. So Nuhoff in a very precarious situation, but he often finds himself in these places. He doesn't qualify as well as he races.
Up front, they are getting with Lee Aberdeen and Luca Varani, not very far apart at all here. But I just want to see how Alistair Haig deals with Marcello Kessler coming around the old hairpin.
I would say it's not the best decision they've ever made, just not having done that under the safety car, really.
Yeah, they're taking their pit stop strategies from Ferrari lately or something. What's going on?
In turn one, just too much gas on them, too much feet on the loud pedal, and approaches dropped to all the way down the order. But Philip Hammer is out in front by an 8.91 seconds. Dan Michael is a wall there, sir. And it definitely doesn't want to be hitting that earlier on as well.
Difficult, the understeer is in the dirty air through that final corner because it's such a long corner and you get dragged off into the grass very easily. He'll have the slipstream down it towards the chicane. Peterson was briefly alongside, but that slipstream has saved him and kept him in third.
Yeah, Varani now lost a little bit of time to Aberdeen, about half a second. Peterson is Pike's pushed more forward up ahead. He's got out of line. It's now Pike going to have a go at Werrell. Don't push him off. He's in the championship fight. Jack Werrell chasing down Carl Jacklin. Further down, Rob Williams and Chris Barnes.
Sensational run outside line now though for the heavy braking zone. Around the outside goes the Audi R8.
Look how much Miller's caught back into play. Exactly. Miller's still such up. He's left on second and change. All of a sudden, Miller's back in play.
On to the back end of Phil Jocelyn. So there's been a lot of movers and shakers in this first 2 laps here for race.
Absolutely serious racing league. Everybody's allowed to have fun. Yeah, and it's all about the entertainment. So I hope everybody is enjoying themselves out there in the chat. We know that Ron is been enjoying himself watching the Burger King machines off into the grass a little bit there as they're really bunching up now.
Well, welcome along to the Red Bull Ring for round 3 of season 3 of the Radical Race Series here at the iconic Styrian countryside. Of course, this now marks a 4th of the way through the current championship season with 12 weeks of racing action. We've already had Spa-Francorchamps. We've already had Alton Park. We now head to Red Bull Ring. Next week it's going to be Suzuka, followed by the following race circuits. Laguna Seca on July 11th, July 18th, Road Atlanta, Silverstone marks the second half of the season on the 25th of July. Monza on August 1st, Road America August 8th, Phillip Island August 15th, Sebring will host the penultimate week out of 12, and then of course, as usual with the Radical Race Series, what we tend to have is that the champion from last season is the one that picks the 12th and final location. My name's Alex Goldschmidt, welcoming you all along. And joining me not just on co-commentary, but the man who's going to be providing all the angles here for this third round of this championship season, Dean Biggles. Hello, buddy. Good to be back alongside you in the box. How are things?
Good, thank you. Welcome to the sound of music, my friend, here in Austria. You know that
I
one.
was going to say Christopher Plummer and Julie Andrews' Sound of Music reference straight away. Well, of course, you had to make it topical, and kudos to you for doing that. But the Red Bull Ring, formerly known as the A1 Ring, the Österreich Ring, has evolved to its current layout, just over 4.2 kilometres. And what's more, Dean, it's going to provide a stern challenge for all our drivers, who very shortly will be going into time qualifying. For those people wondering, in the description there is an explanation of the format. So we're going to have a qualifying session, which will then determine the grid for the 10-lap sprint. The results of the 10-lap sprint will then decide the grid for the 17-lap feature, whereby we'll then invert the top 10. And of course, the Radical SR10s, wonderful machines here, Dean. And we can just see we're on with Damien Guy in the number 40 car, just really just muscling this car around turns through turns 9 and 10 through Hinton and Red Bull Mobile. Of course, a lot of reprofiling quite recently at this kit, and Damien Guy running in this session around about 8th place. But Simon Edwards, Luke Maxwell, the Flying Scotsman, John McHutchinson, three drivers we know very, very well in this championship, are within a tenth of a second of each other, and we're not even into qualifying yet.
It goes to show the short track, of course, but the pace is good. You want to see that. Overtaking opportunities right here up the top of the hill. Swing it out right. You can take a different variation of line into that one, can't you? You see that quite regularly in Formula 1. And get a good exit on your run down here. So you can have side-by-side, I believe, as well, too. I've seen side-by-side racing all the way around the track, and you can't do that in many tracks, can you?
No, you can't. I mean, the thing is that we've seen around the outside of Schlossgold, which is effectively turn 3, where Lewis Hamilton and a certain Mr. Alex Albon had a little bit of a drama a couple of years ago during the Austrian, well, it was either the Austrian Grand Prix or the Grand Prix of the Steiermark. Now, the Steiermark is also relevant to Austrian history, let's say. But it is a track that really does conduce to these fast-paced vehicles. We are into the final 20 seconds of the lengthy 2-hour free practice session here at the Red Bull Ring. So thank you to everyone joining myself and Dean on the JP Broadcasting Network. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe. There is plenty of racing action coming up over the course of the weekend. We'll take you through a little bit of what's happening on the broadcast schedule a little bit later on in the show. As well, an hour and 50 minutes has struck on the clock, and that is it for our free practice session here at round 3 out of 12, with Simon Edwards being the fastest driver out there on a 1:25.647. Luke Maxwell, followed by John McHutchinson, rounding out the top 3. But now we go into the 10-minute qualifying session. And we do have, I think, the best part of the 15 drivers. Jorge Gonzaga, the insert name E-Racing team, the 113, showed a lot of prowess and a lot of cojones last time out at Alton Park, where we weren't using the international layout, but without the chicanes. But Simon Edwards, 6 times a Radical Race Series champion, is the first driver out there, followed by David Beasley, Luke Maxwell and John McHutchinson, who are all under the Team Radline barrier, not to be confused with Team Redline, folks.
I was going to say, yes.
That distinction can sometimes be made in error just by a use of a different letter after the R. But what's the biggest things that you would take in terms of what we're looking for here in qualifying? Of course, track position, very, very crucial, but you've got to really have this car cornering on rails.
Oh, you do. First and second, too. Second on the grid can be good into that run up there into turn 1, for sure. So I wouldn't be too disappointed if I got P2. But you got to get out there and still doing many laps under your belt and then kind of get that time there. You got to have the bankers, don't you? I always say. Get out there, get your banker laps in, because if you make a mistake there, you go in, invalidate your lap or something like that, well, you're back to square one again.
Yep, very, very true indeed, as we're going to start getting on to our first full flying laps here in time qualifying for round 3 out of 12 here at the Red Bull Ring. As Simon Edwards heads through into the Niki Lauda corner at turn 1. Now it's a case of using the maximum amount of performance from the engines in these SR10s, as up the hill goes Simon Edwards, now up into 6th. Through this slight kink, and then hard on the brakes. It's going to be down at about the 100-meter board, through into Remus at turn 2. Second gear, now start to accelerate. Now hitting over 100 miles an hour. Then you've got to go over this slight sort of unsighted crest here on the run down towards turn 3 here at Schlossgold. Brakes at about 100 meters again. Down to third gear, around 60 miles an hour. Now starts to accelerate, having to use a little bit of steering wheel correction as he heads into the next 2 left-handers. Here's turn 4 at Rauch, and then we go into Wirth very shortly, but starting to apply the power as he goes in between the 2 corners, and a little bit of a lift, dips underneath 100 miles an hour in 4th gear, and just uses the runoff area. Still has 2 wheels within track limits, and now it's the run down towards Rint, and then Red Bull Mobile, the last 2 corners here, and it's just north of 4.2 kilometre circuit. Very wide out of Rint, now into Red Bull Mobile, and you can just see the amount of commitment as Simon Edwards puts the pedal to the metal, comes across the line, and let's see, 1:26.221. Luke Maxwell over half a second behind. John McHutchinson goes up into P2 on a 1:26.513. Paul Crabb, the Irishman, in the 64 goes 5th behind the 666 of Mike Bousson. David Beasley 6th, Joseph Emmett 7th, as we're waiting for the likes of Phil Glover. Looks like Jorge Gonzaga's time has just put him P3, 1/100th behind. Well, make that 6 1,000ths behind John McHutchinson in the battle for pole position. So 9 drivers so far have registered lap times, and John McHutchinson is quite literally flying through the first sector. He's just put it purple there, Dean, so the number 69 could be one to watch here.
I wonder if he's getting a little bit of a tow from that car up the road as well, too. That's going to be helping his qualifying. Maybe a little bit too far. Simon Evans has matched that second sector. It's a little bit of a mistake from John. Simon now has stolen that one away, so it's going to be certainly close. It's going to come down to that third sector between those 2 gladiators.
Yeah, John McHutchinson losing a lot of time. About the best part of nearly half a second between himself and Simon Edwards, who is going to come across the line very shortly. And here he is, the number 52. What's the lap time going to be? It will be an improvement, but how far up will it go? 1:26.028. McHutchinson goes down to P3 as Luke Maxwell goes 2nd. Mike Bousson sets the all-time fastest final sector of anybody in the session. He's currently 5th behind Jorge Gonzaga. Damien Guy now goes up to P7 ahead of James Barry. And don't worry, the JPB is not reference to JP Broadcasting. It's actually, as I found out from Mr. Parfit, who's currently enjoying his little siesta in Spain with the family. Well deserved. It is actually the initials of his son, and also I noticed the little nod to Club 100, the Arrive and Drive Championship run by John Weigel here in the United Kingdom, which has an association with Rotax. We do have 12 of the 14 drivers that have set lap times. Jamie Bird and Michael LeMay are the only 2 that have had both their lap times so far in this session disallowed. We've had 5.5 minutes of the session completed, so it is about what Jamie Bird and Michael LeMay pull out of the bag here, Dean, because okay, yeah, they may not want to be in the mid-pack come the race start for race 1 out of 2, but they definitely want to make sure they get a time on the board. Well, the drivers coming across the line. Simon Edwards goes quicker still. 125.783. John McHutchinson, 125.9 flat. Mike Busson also improves in terms of lap time. 126.870. That puts him well over. That's 6.5 tenths between him and Jorge Gonzaga. Jamie Bird now makes his way out through Red Bull out of Rindt and now into Red Bull Mobile. Currently sitting 13th with no respective lap time designated. Martina Wards goes P6. Jamie Bird takes that position away with a 126.617. So at that particular point, well, Jamie Bird finally puts a lap in. Michael LeMay, still hasn't got a time on the board as the 777. Simon Edwards, again, just pushing the car to the absolute limit, has just gone purple in Sector 2. He comes out of the right-hander following the turn 5 corner at Wörth, now into Rindt, and just completely committed, runs the car a little bit wide, and now heads through Red Bull Mobile. He's going to put the pedal to the metal now. Best lap time so far in qualifying. 1 minute 25.784. Is it another improvement? Yes, fractionally, but more importantly, it puts him over 0.16 ahead of John McHutchinson in this qualifying session. 125.738. Top 7, rounded out by the 23 of Martina Ward, covered by 9.5 tenths of a second thereof. Michael LeMay, will he get an opportunity to put in a lap time? Well, at the minute, all 3 laps he's done so far have been invalidated by the iRacing system software. Out he comes through Red Bull Mobile and across the line. Does the 777 put one on the board? Yes, he does, and he goes 11th on that front. And Simon Edwards, Dean, with 2 minutes to go in qualifying, is finding more pace in that opening sector. He really, really is pushing it quite hard tonight.
It's fantastic, actually, as drivers are getting a little bit more pace out of the track and out of the car in the dying stages of qualifying. Sometimes you find in iRacing that they get those banker laps in very early, the quick laps, and then they don't really seem to find any more pace. But so far at the moment, Simon seems to be in the first sector, second sector, I'm not quite sure. By the way, we are really, really close to 2,000 subscribers. Oh, he's been banned in that lap. Okay. So let's see if we can get there. It was basically the last time, my friend, that James went on his holiday to Spain. We reached 1,000 subscribers, so seems to be every time James goes to Spain, we get it. So let's nail the 2K before he gets back, because we're only about 10 away, probably about 8 or so away now. We'll see.
Something like we'll see. So if you haven't already, please give us a like, share, and subscribe whilst you're at it. John McHutchinson aborts his final lap in qualifying. So does Mike Busson. Luke Maxwell has also called time on his qualifying session. Michael LeMay looking to improve again. He's now up to P11 in the number 777. So this will be his 5th lap in the qualifying session as we're counting down the seconds rather quickly. And across the line, he does improve on lap time. Doesn't improve higher than 11th position. There's David Beasley in the number 38. With the wonderful black and medium gold accoutrements there. With a little bit of Logitech G signage on the side of the car as well. He's making his way in towards the penultimate right-hander at Rindt as the timer is counting down 3, 2, 1. Qualifying completed, and well, David Beasley's session times out. So pole position for the 10-lap sprint will go to multi-time Radical Race Series champion Simon Edwards, and we are getting very much steeled and ready. The grid is starting to ready up here at the Red Bull Ring. So without further ado, let's take you through the first grid of the evening after qualifying. Simon Edwards will start from pole position. John McHutchinson got to within 5 1,000ths in his final attempt in qualifying. That's going to be a very explosive front row. Luke Maxwell and James Barry on row 2. Jorge Gonzaga and Mike Busson will be on row 3, ahead of Jamie Bird and Paul Crabb, with Martina Ward and Damien Gee rounding out the top 10. Michael LeMay ends up 11th ahead of Joseph Emmett, with David Beasley and Phil Glover rounding out the 14-strong grid. So it's going to be around about 42 kilometres of racing here at the Red Bull Ring. We'll have the 17-lap feature after this one, where the top 10 finishers from this sprint race will be inverted for the grid for the 17-lap feature. We are still waiting for a few of the drivers to ready up, and there you see the famed tunnel at the Red Bull Ring, including one of the Red Bull Air Race airplanes, and also the Volkswagen Touareg Dakar rally car, piloted by a certain recent Dakar winner with Audi, Carlos Sainz Sr., who also in his right is a World Rally champion back in the day. But everyone's lined up on the grid. The 5 red lights here at the Red Bull Ring start to ignite, and for race 1 here on round 3, it's lights out. We're underway, and a good start, great start by Edwards. Maxwell manages to get a better hole shot in comparison with McHutchinson, who unfortunately has a little bit of wheel spin coming off the line and looks to bog down a little bit as they make their way up towards Remus at turn number 2 for the opening tour. It's side by side, a little bit further back between James Barry and Jorge Gonzaga. Jamie Bird now coming into the mix and could make it 3 wide into the corner. He might look to dive up the inside. No, he doesn't. Decides discretion is the better part of valor. Damien Gee and Michael LeMay dropped a couple of positions, but Paul Crabb's off. Paul Crabb is off. And there goes Luke Maxwell. He's trying to go round the outside at Schlossgold. And there goes, well, it's Simon Edwards having to defend from Maxwell. No! McHutchinson into the side of Edwards. And drama at turn 3. There's more dramas just behind. Damien Gee gets turned around, and Simon Edwards, oh, well, he tried to go round the outside of Luke Maxwell into turn 3 at Schlossgold. Good evening to our JPB superfan in the chat. Good evening, Alex and Dean. Well, Phil, good to have you along with us. Yeah, that was very, very unfortunate there, because Maxwell kept the defensive line. Edwards went round the outside, so we're going to have a look
Paul
back.
Crabb before.
Now this is Paul Crabb heading into turn 2 at Remus.
He's dropped it.
Yeah. He just dropped it all on his own, just spoiled up the rear tyres. And then we have this, which is the run through into turn number 3 at Schlossgold. So Maxwell's on the inside, Edwards on the outside. And yeah, it was a touch. It was the slightest of touches. Left front to right rear. McHutchinson on Edwards. And now, well, after what was a stellar performance, putting him on pole position, Simon Edwards finds himself down in 13th. Here's what happened with Damien Gee. Well, he just loses the back end on his own and then over-rotates and then collects somebody else as Simon Edwards recovers. Meantime, Jamie Bird is about 0.6 of a second ahead of Jorge Gonzaga, who rounds out the top 5. Oh, and David Beasley getting his elbows out round the outside at Schlossgold on Michael LeMay. And that is a brilliant work there by the number 38.
It's not over yet.
No. David went for the move up the inside at Hull. And, well, that's allowed Edwards and Gee to get through. But in the meantime, well, Luke Maxwell leading the way by the best part of nearly 0.8 of a second as John McHutchinson looking up the inside. That's on Mark. That's on the 26th of Joseph Emmett from the Walk Racing crew, and that's coming out of the final corner. And, well, James Barry has the new fastest lap of the race, 1 minute 26.256 as Joseph Emmett trying to keep close proximity to John McHutchinson. There's Mike Busson being challenged by James Barry. James Barry from the insert name e-racing team, teammate to Jorge Gonzaga, now gunning for a second place. Well, Luke Maxwell isn't that far ahead now. And looking at the lap times between the top 3 here, Dean, 1:26.3 for Luke Maxwell, 1:26.6 Mike Busson, 1:26.2, fastest lap of the race so far for James Barry. And then Jamie Bird about a second behind all of this, 1:26.6. So good consistent pace from the top 4.
Yeah, 2 drivers out there without a lap time somehow. It must have been invalidations for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Having them scrubbed.
Yeah, I think John McHutchinson's tangle with Simon Edwards definitely meant that he got an instant point or two, a couple of X points maybe. But yeah, I think it's starting to settle a little bit now that we're seeing some really good battles. Simon Edwards now closing in on Paul Crabbett has just got past for 11th position. So, but they are side by side. Oh dear, Simon, just be careful on that outside line. He's going to still chance it though through Rinse, and Edwards just went, "Yep, hold my beer, watch this." And they do sometimes say lightning does strike twice, but thank goodness he was at a different point on the circuit.
John's on a rampage, coming to make his way back up through the field, as you just saw before after that first lap incident. So he's going to count him out. He's got a bit of work to do to catch up the rest of the field, but you know, you've got 12 minutes to get it done, and he's got the pace, and he's just got the overtake done, actually, just as I mentioned that. He did. No, somebody's going off. It's probably maybe the reason why. Oh,
Martina Ward, I think, has just gone off. The number 23. Martina started in 9th position at one point, was as high as 5th in qualifying. So we're going to have a look at this. I think behind her was John McHutchinson, who has just put in the new fastest lap of the race. Now this is coming. Over rotation. Yeah, lighting up the rear tyres. That's through turn 2 at Remus. But she's now down in 12th place. Mike Boussaint now closing in on Luke Maxwell. This is also bringing in James Barry into play in the top 3, covered by less than a second as we complete lap 4 out of this 10-lap sprint race. So, and Boussaint, new fastest lap, 1 minute 25.898. We ride on board with the 666, closing in on the 118 just in front. Other battles that are happening, Jamie Bird being closed in on by Jorge Gonzaga. Gap between them is 8 tenths. Michael LeMay has made some steady progress. The 777 up 3 places from 11th on the grid. Now currently a very solid 8th place. And, well, he's closing in on Joseph Emmett, who in his own right has made up 5 places. But here goes LeMay up the inside, dives through, late on the brakes. Neat as you like, but he runs a bit deep, but still, Emmett not able to take complete advantage of that manoeuvre there by Michael LeMay. And the two brothers racing, of course, Paul does, his brother Paul LeMay does also feature in this, and unfortunately is not with us, but great move there by Michael LeMay to get through for what is 7th position on the road.
Classic turn 2. I call it turn 2. Overtake up top of the hill. As I said, that's one of the great overtaking opportunities. I just can't count that little tiny kink in there as a turn.
Same here. Same here. It's just like literally you are flat on the throttle all the way through. So what do you need to call it a corner?
I think didn't they have to do that for Formula One because you have to have a certain amount of corners, I think, in order for the track to be a certain grade. I don't know.
Possibly. But Simon Edwards now looking for the move, and he's going to go inside this time through Rince on Phil Glover. So the number 52 back up into 9th position. James Barry, in the meantime, is starting to hustle Mike Boussaint and race leader Luke Maxwell. Gap between them now 5.5 tenths of a second in closing as they go up the hill here through this left-hand kink. And James Barry getting a double toe from both Team Radline drivers as you get a look to the inside through at turn 2. Lock up from Boussaint, nearly ended up having Barry up as rear diffuser. But Barry having cat-like reflexes there to avoid any kind of drama, but it's getting closer and closer still. I mean, looking at the pace of what we've got from Jamie Bird and Jorge Gonzaga in 4th and 5th respectively, Bird up 3 spots from 7th, Gonzaga in exactly the same place where he qualified in P5. They really are starting to, well, either battle each other or they're going to start closing on the leaders because we are very, very close to completing lap 6 out of 10. So it will be just 4 more to go after this one. And Luke Maxwell doing exactly what he needs to do. Boussaint just trying to keep Barry at bay as they go through Rince, now into Red Bull Mobile. This could very much come down to the wire, but James Barry has definitely got the fire lit in the belly right now. He's 3 tenths behind Boussaint. As they come across the line again, Luke Maxwell now expands that gap between 1st and 2nd to about 7 tenths as they go through Nicky Lauda corner at turn 1. But yeah, you can definitely tell that Barry's the one that's got a little bit of a point to prove here.
This could be a late send here. As I thought the teammates were going to be working together for Team Redline before, but they didn't do a switcheroo or anything, so they just elected to go Maxwell. Because first rule, don't take your teammates out, but covered off at the moment there. But if James can get a good run out of that first corner, of course, and then jump up the hill, I think that really it's difficult to overtake around this part of the track in the third sector. You've got to, that's what I'm thinking really, isn't it? Get a good exit out of the last turn. Sorry, out of turn 1, and then try to take him at the top of the hill. That would be his best bet.
Yeah, very much the case, but James Barry looking every which way but loose at the moment. To see if he can get past on Mike Busson for second position. Time and laps are fast counting down as we are currently on lap 7. So we'll have 3 to go after this. And James Barry really hoping that on the run down to Hint, he's going to get a good run through into the right-hander. He was just under 2/10 behind Mike Busson as they come out of the final corner here at Red Bull Mobile. So, lap 7 completed. Luke Maxwell continues to lead the way, having started third on the grid. He's 7/10 ahead of Mike Busson. James Barry holding station and closing in on a braking through into Nicky Lauder at turn 1. Currently P3. Jamie Bird 4th. Jorge Gonzaga, John McHutchinson. Well, Jorge Gonzaga has now got through.
Yeah.
Oh, now, hang on a second. Jamie Bird has just lost 2 positions.
Yeah, he's just had an accident. Sorry, I'll show it in a second. I just want to see if James could get that dive up the inside there. He couldn't. No. Unfortunately, I was wondering if Mike kind of did break a lot earlier there, so that would throw off his exit speed coming out of there. That could be a little bit of a tactic. Well, interesting.
It could be. Could very well be. So here's the drama for Jamie Bird. Now, this is going to be into turn 1 and turns the car in. And tank slapper bangs right hand side into the barriers, and that is a very wounded SR10. Significant damage on the right side for the number 39 of Jamie Bird. But in the meantime, well, we are on lap 8 out of 10. 3 to go, including this one. You look on board from the rear diffuser of Mike Busson in the 666 Team Radline SR10. It's holding on to second at the moment. And it is getting very, very hot under the collar between these 3 drivers. As we've got 2 more laps to go, we head on to lap number 9 out of 10. And look at the toe that Busson's getting from Maxwell heading into Nicky Lauder corner. Barry is not giving them room to breathe. Now up the hill. They're going to be putting full throttle at this moment in time. Up to 5th gear. Now into the left-hand kink. Mike Busson looks to the outside of Luke Maxwell going into Remus here at turn 2. Is he going to throw it high, wide and handsome? He's going to give it a shot, and this could give the opportunity. Look at Barry. Look at Barry. He got a good run. He looked to the inside. Busson's now got the race lead with around the outside at turn 2. And now Barry's got all that work to do again, and he's got about a lap and a half to try and see if he can get the race victory. Oh, lock up there from Maxwell. Lock up from Maxwell through turn 3.
I wonder if that was a team maneuver to do that. So you get side by side, do a switcheroo there, and then it's got nowhere for Barry to go. Although that could have went a little bit all wrong for them, didn't they? Because Barry almost sees that opportunity when they tried that. That's if they tried that.
Yeah, very much the case. Phil Glover's just had a moment on circuit as well in his own right. He's dropped down behind Paul Crabb. But after this, we're going to have the white flag. And, well, James Barry is really up the rear exhaust pipes of Luke Maxwell through Rint, through into Red Bull Mobile. We've got just over 4.2 kilometres to decide our sprint race winner here at round 3. White flag in the air, and it is getting very, very close indeed. Maxwell getting to within a 1/10 of a second at a point, running up towards Nicky Lauder corner. Here comes James Barry. He has not been phased by any of the tactics the 2 Team Radline drivers in front of him have tried to employ. But now look at the toe that he's got. Maxwell to the outside of Busson. Barry nearly threaded the eye of the needle, going through into the middle of the 2 drivers at Remus. And now he was looking towards the outside of Mike Busson through turn 2. Well, unfortunately, his plan did not quite work out as he'd hoped.
I think that was a block, a good block. I think between the 2 drivers again for the Team Radline, I think that worked out for them. There's nowhere for Barry to go. You can't go 3 wide through there, otherwise that's 3 into 2 will turn up into somebody off the track because we had a spin, as you said, white flag. I don't think there's any very difficult to get any overtake on this final sector, said, but unless you're going to send a full prayer dummy in.
Yeah, well, we are coming. Yeah. You never know. You never know. But Luke Maxwell from 3rd on the grid leads us into the final 2 right-handers. First now at Rint, then down the hill in towards Red Bull Mobile. And not only is it going to be Luke Maxwell who's going to pick up the win here in the sprint race here at the Red Bull Ring, it could be very well a Team Radline 1-2. Yes, it is. So Maxwell wins the sprint race after 10 laps here at the Red Bull Ring ahead of Radline teammate Mike Bousson. James Barry did everything in his power to try and get through. Well, it's going to be a welcome result for the insert name e-racing team because of Barry and Gonzaga, who ran at the top 4. John McHutchinson and Simon Edwards, despite their turn 3 lap 1 incident, both recovered to finish 5th and 6th respectively. Michael LeMay 7th, Paul Crabb in 8th, Phil Glover in the 07 Castrol Racing Toyota WRC Tribute Racing livery band finishes in 9th, ahead of Jamie Bird. But, well, there you have the iconic Red Bull, the main bull with the horns, the main statue here at this fantastic facility that has been part and parcel of so many different classes of racing. And, of course, Formula One being one of the mainstays. So there you have the remaining results. Jamie Bird finishes 10th, ahead of David Beasley, with Damien Gee, Joseph Emmett, and Martina Ward rounding out the completed finishing order. Unfortunately, Martina could have had a better run in that one, but she's going to have to start from the back end of the grid, which means that Jamie Bird becomes our feature race pole sitter. So, Dean, your thoughts, first of all, of that opening race? There was a bit of argy-bargy in the first 30 seconds of it, wasn't there?
Yeah, I was hoping the other drivers, say George there and Burgo, to start catching back up to that pack, but unfortunately they started pulling away a little bit from that. If John McHutchison was there as well too, we would have had a full-way fight for sure, because, you know, at that first corner incident. And Phil, yes, you are bidding for your prize, my friend. Unfortunately, the shipping is so expensive. I was giving you that oil container. That's I'm not sure if you know that one, but you know the oil container that's in the that's in Germany, I think it is, right, Phil? On top of one of the grandstands. It's one of those advertising, huge big oil. Yeah, oil container kind of thing. You know, it's used for your car oil.
Oh, a bit like the Ravenel one that they've got at the Hockenheim ring.
That's it. That's the one
on the main building. Yes, I know exactly which one you're talking about.
Guess how many liters are in it? What's the question?
I dread to think. Dean. I dread to think. But yeah, I'm Phil. If you want to tell us that information, please feel free to put it in the chat, sir. It's probably going to be at least, you know, at least 3 figures, probably like at least 500 plus liters or something like that. Something ridiculous that we wouldn't expect, you know.
Yep, exactly. There's your little Red Bull bridge thing.
There you go.
You know how much the well, here's one for you, Phil. How much does that Red Bull weigh here at the track?
That's an interesting one. But whilst Phil thinks about that, let's give you the grid for the 17-lap feature race. So, 10th in race 1 starts from pole position in the 17-lap feature for round 3 at the Red Bull Ring. That's 200 gallons, he's just answered, for the oil container. Thank you very much, Phil. Jamie Bird and Phil Glover will start on the front row with Paul Crabb, Michael LeMay, Simon Edwards, John McHutchinson, Jorge Gonzaga, James Barry, Mike Bousson, Luke Maxwell, David Beasley, Damien Gee. Then we've got Joseph Emmett and Martina Ward rounding out the 14-strong grid. Looks like everyone's set and ready. 5 lights are on. 5 lights are out. Oh! Now, who did not get going?
Beasley.
Oh, that was David Beasley. And, well, that's just caused a bit of havoc because Joseph Emmett's Radical has just gone completely into the barriers. Jamie Bird was very, very wide coming out of turn number 1, which means that look who's already jumped into 2nd and 3rd. McHutchinson trying to go round towards the outside, in towards turn 2 on, of all people, Simon Edwards. and Edwards keeps the inside line. James Barry and Michael LeMay now round out the top 5. Hutchinson gets the overspeed round the outside on the run down to Schlossgold ahead of Edwards, who might look towards the inside possibly to get the move facilitated. He decides against it. But Jamie Bird, well, luckily enough, being on pole position, that's one of the best places to be. Joseph Emmett has been in the pits for 8 minutes and 8.33 seconds. Paul Crabb was in there for 38.3. As they come through sector number 2. And Jamie Bird, careful. Nearly went into the kitty litter. So did James Barry there, coming out of Wörth. Phil across the pond says, the bull weighs 20 tons. God, you need more than a few
Yeah.
You need more than a few forklifts. You need a couple of cherry pickers as well. But in the meantime, at the front end of the field, 4-way scrap underway. After the opening lap out of 17, Jamie Bird leads John McHutchinson as James Barry very quickly looked to maybe stick his nose up the inside of Simon Edwards, who's a little bit slow coming out of turn 1 at Nicky Lauda corner. We're on board with James Barry. Now, bearing in mind, he finished 3rd, which put him 8th on the top 10 reverse grid for this feature race, and he's going to look to the outside of Simon Edwards as John McHutchinson looks up the inside of race leader Jamie Bird, and Bird keeps his nose ahead for the moment. Luke Maxwell now challenging James Barry for 4th. Michael LeMay has got Jorge Gonzaga right up his exhaust pipes. Martina Ward, and Jamie Bird loses the lead to John McHutchinson, who runs wide through Schlossgold. Bird's coming straight back at him with absolute full conviction and looks to go towards the outside of Hull here at turn number 4 through the left-hander, but that could open the door for Simon Edwards very, very shortly if Bird does not make a misstep coming out of Wörth and then going through the kitty litter like we saw a couple of drivers on the opening lap. And now Edwards really got the run on the number 39 now into Rindt, and Edwards is there. But Hutchinson going very, very wide on the approach, and Edwards runs wide coming out of that corner. Nearly gets collected by Jamie Bird. Well, we've got a fight on our hands, and look at how close the top 11 are, folks. 4.3 seconds covering them after just 2 laps, and there's more action kicking off. Barry up the inside of Bird through turn 1.
3 abreast here at the moment, my friend. Let's see. Somebody's going to have to lift off there at the moment. Jamie Bird will. And let's see how they're going to navigate the turn 2. Top of the hill corner. Love it. This is some exciting racing, my friend.
Yeah, Luke Maxwell right splits the pair of Barry and Bird in the middle, going up from Nicky Lauda corner through to Remus at turn 2. Of course, Remus known as the famed sheep in-house moment involving Dr. Wolfgang Ulrich, Timo Scheider and Robert Wickens in DTM back in 2016. I remember I was covering the DTM as a reporter that time. But nice work there by Jamie Bird through at Hull on James Barry. That's for 4th position. And unfortunately, we had... Well, what's happened to... Now, I'm wondering, what on earth happened to Mike Bousson? He's called time on his race as James Barry looking towards the inside of Jamie Bird. This is for 4th. Bird keeps the throttle planted through Rindt. Great job there by the number 39 to keep the 10 at bay.
Let's see. It's into turn 1 now, for sure, side by side. Now, last of late breakers. As you can see, Hutchinson's just at the fastest lap too. He's trying to get that little bit of a gap, half a second.
Yeah, it's getting very, very close indeed. I mean, yeah, McHutchinson wants to keep Edwards at bay. Maxwell's a further 1.4 seconds off as James Barry pulls the left-hand side of Jamie Bird. Noses ahead going into Remus here at turn 2, but Bird's going to have the inside line. Gonzaga ahead of LeMay. That's for 6th place just behind. Barry has to do it all over again. This is going to be very, very much a pinch point. They're at 6th gear. They're at over 120 plus miles an hour into the braking zone. Round the outside goes Barry, but completely outbrakes himself, runs deep into the corner, touches the kitty litter, and that gives Jamie Bird an opportunity to pull a gap of nearly 6.5 tenths of a second. But in his own way, Jamie Bird coming through first, goes a bit deep into the corner, allowing Barry to catch him up again. And the gap between them, well, it was 6/10 coming out of Hull through Verth. It was less than 2.5 as Barry giving Bird significant pressure coming through here into Rint. Now we're about to complete lap 4 out of 17. John McHutchinson holding a steady lead at about 0.4 of a second after 4 laps. Simon Edwards, however, has got the fastest lap in his pocket. James Barry looking into the inside at turn 1 here at Nicky Lauda and gets through on Jamie Bird for P4, but Bird's going to be the one that's going to be hunting him down on the up the hill here towards Remus at turn 2. Great scrap here for 4th.
What goes around comes around sometimes. Let's see whether or not he can get the job done. Oh, good wheel-to-wheel racing.
Oh, nearly a bit of hip checking there as well to boot.
Yeah. Oh, make a mistake too, Barry has, and he's under pressure now from the Portuguese driver of George Gonzaga.
Yeah, Gonzaga ahead of LeMay. Martina Ward having a good run here. She started last, now is up 6 places and is challenging Michael LeMay for 7th as we ride on board with the MJ Racing number 23.
Oh, look at this. So Simon's been creeping in, John. They've been exchanging fastest laps like early Christmas cards.
Yeah, they have. And how far is Christmas away now? 6 months. Or just under thereof. But great battle here between these two drivers who have been a mainstay of this championship for so many years. But Simon Edwards keeping that gap now to around about 2.5, or just over 2.5 of a second, as we now complete lap 5. So nearly a third of the way through this 17-lap feature race for race 2 of round 3 of the Radical Race Series, season number 3, round 3. And again, Barry just going toe-to-toe, mano-a-mano. It's gladiator versus gladiator in the Coliseum here at the Red Bull Ring between these two absolute Goliaths, and they are not giving up. They're not giving in. Barry is looking for the opportune moment, see if he can maybe do the old crisscross on Jamie Bird. Well, Jamie Bird manages to still keep it nice and neatly pinned, but this battle here is really allowing Jorge Gonzaga to really reel them in. So the Portuguese man of war could very soon factor in to the battle for P4 here. Dean is up the inside, decides to go James Barry on Jamie Bird, who's going to run a little bit wide. They are wheel to wheel coming out of Schlossgold, and Bird is going to have the inside line for Hull, but Gonzaga has got the pound seats.
Yeah, he's got the best seat, and he's got the popcorn out, my friend. As we're riding shotgun with him and watching that battle up the road, as you said.
Yeah, and also his soft drink beverage of choice, of course. But look, I mean, Barry and Bird, you cannot. They are literally separated by the canards at the moment as well. Did you see that move right there in front of us, folks? Ahead of Jorge Gonzaga, James Barry, literally by next to no room at all, fired it up the inside of Rint on Jamie Bird, taking 4th place. Now that is a place normally you would not associate with an overtake, but James Barry quite clearly made it work. However, Jorge Gonzaga is definitely factoring in to this battle for 4th, 5th, and 6th as we rejoin the battle for the race lead as well. Again, it's going to change. Barry loses the place to Bird. Gonzaga now really starting to close on in, and he's going to fancy an opportunity maybe if he can position the car correctly to the inside of Schlossgold and force Barry to go the long way around. Well, on this particular occasion, it's not going to be the case, but you can do that at Schlossgold. If you fire it up the inside and you basically make it textbook, you can make it work to your advantage, but still, it's like Bird and Barry are the two last children in the playground battling over the swing.
Never heard that one before. That sounds good.
It does. It does. It's just like that. They are not. You know, they're probably going to have a really, really good chat about this after the race. But here we go into Rint. Barry tried it again. Bird this time was wise to it and went, well, once bitten, twice shy. I'm not going to let you get through. But if you make a mistake through the final corner at Red Bull Mobile like that, well, that's instantly going to put James Barry alongside him. He's got the overspeed at over 120 miles an hour. Gonzaga is now going to see if he can make anything he can make anything of this. Oh,
he probably
hip
will.
check between the pair. Bird goes wide. Gonzaga gets through. And, well, I think Jamie Bird might need to check his virtual underwear after that one, because that would have been definitely a code brown. That is actually Mike Busson's car stock on the circuit on the right-hand side on the pit lane exit. As well, that is Bird through on LeMay. And there is Martina Ward. Again, still battling with LeMay. This is still the battle for P7. Martina might have the inside line, but she decides to use discretion as the better part of valor, because anything that might happen between the three in front of her and LeMay, if that kicks off all of a sudden, both these drivers have a real good opportunity. So does Damien Guy in 9th of a possible top 5 finish in this feature.
John's gone off track somewhere, only for a little bit. So,
so we have had developments.
We had
on
a
race
change.
lead,
Yes,
then.
we had a change of the lead. So let's have a look at that one really quickly. Haven't had a chance to go to the replays yet, my friend. So much action. There it is there. Ooh.
Oh, cool. Clean up on aisle 3 for McHutchinson right there. That was not exactly what he wanted.
Put him under pressure there at the moment there from his teammate. But yeah, when I get a chance, if these drivers can give us any chance, but I guess we'll have to look at it after the race, aren't we? To have a look at that race start where somebody just completely bogged down, didn't they? And get absolutely collected on the grid.
I think it was Paul Crabb. Paul Crabb was the one, the 64. But yeah, that just goes to show how close these cars are. These Radical SR10s. As we're on to
flashing his lights.
Yeah, that's Mike Busson. Yeah, just like hello, only me. Sorry, Mike. But yeah, I mean, now that James Barry has got ahead of Jamie Bird, this is quite good for those behind. Of course, Jorge Gonzalez, well, Jamie Bird's livery, very much not too dissimilar from the race helmet livery of a certain Formula One world champion back in 1976. Good old James Hunt. If anyone might recognise the colour scheme on it.
This one?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
James used to have a dark black race helmet with orange and red as the stripes, and then it just have his name on the side of it. And here we are with
James Barry? Oh, that one. Which one was it?
No, Jamie Bird.
Jamie Bird. Yeah. Okay.
So, but they are about 0.8 of a second apart. Jorge Gonzaga is right behind Jamie Bird, so there could be a possibility that the Portuguese driver in the 113 might be able to get up into 5th position. So it was Paul Crabb on row 2.
Yeah, just didn't get away.
Didn't get off the line. Might have had a drama and bang straight into the back. That might have been Mike Busson possibly. That
I think
went up the rear diffuser of him.
How scary would this be if we go have a look at this real quickly? Oh no, this is Mike Busson later.
Yeah, this is Mike earlier on, just deciding to keep out of the way. Meantime, Mike Busson, Mike, good to see you in the chat. Good view of the racing from here. Well put. So you've got the perfect spectators view. You don't need.
He's out over there. Look.
Yeah, you don't need general admission. You don't need a grandstand. You can see exactly what's going on. In the meantime, the battle for 8th and 9th really heating up because Michael LeMay has pulled away from Martina Ward, and Damien Guy from the Rad Sport Sim Racing number 40 car is within 0.2 of a second of 8th place as they are going to head into Print. We're on to now lap 11 out of 17. We'll be having some post-race chats after this feature race, so it'll be good to catch up with some of the drivers coming on from what has been a very, very exciting and dramatic evening so far, Mr. Biggles.
This has been one of those great races that this track always produces. Just wondering at the moment if John's going to be able to hold off Luke Maxwell, but I don't know how long Jamie Bird can hold off the flying Portuguese driver.
Oh, that's close going through turn 2. Gonzaga might have the run. Well, it depends on if he's got the traction down on the back axle. Yeah, Mike Busson, I'm in the cheap seats. Well played. Well said. But Gonzaga might have the run going through into Schloss Gold here. Bird goes deep. Gonzaga tight to the apex. That's a neat move, but it's not going to be enough for him to pull alongside and pull past Jamie Bird on the run down to turn 4 here at Hull. Gonzaga might decide, he's going to go a little bit tighter on the apex here. Just, they do say, Dean, that smooth is fast around certain circuits, and it's very much the case here at the Red Bull Ring, but you just got to watch out for certain parts like the Kitty Litter on the right-hand side coming out of Earth, the sort of like the Piff-Paff chicane, but Gonzaga right on the rear bumper. Oh, he had to think about that one, didn't he?
Yeah, you saw some fantastic overtaking, didn't you? In the final sector for once. It's going to get a good exit power out of here and put the pedal to the metal. That's a little bit of door banging. That's okay. That's allowed. It's bumping his driving, isn't it? So
Gonzaga's got through, though, hasn't he? Yes, he has. He got the overspeed despite the hip check from Jamie Bird. And Jorge Gonzaga, the 113 from Portugal, gets through, but Bird's not done yet. He's looking to the outside on the run-up to Remus here at turn 2. Meantime, Martina Ward has closed in and has gone towards the outside of Michael LeMay. As Bird looks to the outside of Gonzaga, Gonzaga holds the position. What about Martina Ward? The back end steps out. Back end steps out on the 23, and she nearly loses the position to Damien Guy right behind her. Guy's now looking towards the outside, trying to outbrake Martina Ward in towards Schlossgold. Gonzaga this time is going to get... Martina Ward spins around. Oh, shame. That's a real shame for the 23. And Jamie Bird back up the inside through at Hull on Jorge Gonzaga, who is taking a tighter lane. And which F1 driving dynasty drove with a black helmet with London Rowing Club colours? Well, who else?
I was going to say, who was sitting there before with Mike? Mike, who was with you? There was a white car there for a second. I don't know if it was Phil.
That might have been Joseph Emmett, possibly.
Joseph. Joseph's not in the race, so anyway.
No, he went straight into the pit lane and I think effected a fast repair. But, well, it's Maxwell versus McHutchinson in the battle for P2. P5, however, Jamie Bird has just dropped it out of Nicky Lauda corner at turn 1 on lap 13. Well, what can I say about this one? So he's got Gonzaga to the inside. So Gonzaga will make the move here. And then Jamie, he's just over-rotated. He's just turning a bit too deep. And then applied the power. The back end's gone, hello, I'm swapping ends.
I think it was Phil. What's happened to Phil here? Or is this...
Yeah, this is going to be the run-up.
No, this is where he pulls over and has a little chat to Michael.
He goes like, "Hello, mate. You're right."
Yeah,
it's like Sebastian Vettel checking up on Lando Norris after his big incident in qualifying at Spa. However, Maxwell and McHutchinson, this could be very, very tight between the pair of these. 0.3 of a second separating P2 and P3, as Simon Edwards has a big old lead of 4.7 seconds as we head on to lap 14 out of 17, 4 to go, including this one. Maxwell still thinking of, right, well, if I'm going to make a move on John, he's my teammate, I'm going to make sure it's firm but it's fair, and it's a point where we both know that the overtake can be done.
Let's see at the moment, because he's not swinging out, no. So he's waiting, he's biding his time, or Luke is just happy to finish 7 positions and get up there in that P3, but hey, I don't think so, my friend. This is racing, isn't it? So, Michael LeMay, Damien.
Yep, and that is a change for 6th position. So Michael LeMay now makes up, he was originally P4, made a good run of positions in the opening race. The 10-lap sprint, we're on lap 14 out of 17, so about 3.5 laps, well, just over 3 laps to go before we hit the checkered. So we only have 10 out of the 14 starters. Joseph Emmett, Paul Crabb out on the opening lap, Mike Bousson out after a lap and a quarter. Phil Glover still running, he's currently P11, a lap and a half down off of Simon Edwards, who's now taking us on to lap number 15. But we still run with Damien Geese trying to close in on Michael LeMay. Luke Maxwell still holding station behind John McHutchinson. The pair of Team Radline cars. Simon Edwards, well, just taking it in and not putting himself under undue pressure. At the moment, looking at the top, well, all the field. The last laps that have been done, Edwards, McHutchinson and Barry have all done sub 1 minute 26s. Damien Gee and Michael LeMay battling again over 6 spots. As it looks like we have had a change. Martina Ward now has got through on David Beasley, but they have swapped over again. Martina!
Oh,
no!
that's huge.
Oh dear, Martina went to the outside. David tried to cover it off, and then, well, that's Martina in the pit lane. We're going to have a look from the helicam here up towards Remus. So Martina's already ahead before they go into the corner. Runs a little bit deep, then goes towards the outside. Dave, oh,
Yeah, you've got to.
You'd
have to put that on David, I think. I don't know. He should know. He should have been aware that she's there, right? That's interesting.
Yeah, I think it. Yeah, it's going to be a post-race stewards inquiry. Meantime, Michael LeMay and Damien Gee having a great battle over what is P7, P6 and P7.
Wide there.
He did. Lost a big amount of time. So this and one more lap to go for us to conclude this third round out of 12. And then next week it's going to be another change of scenery for our Radical Race Series drivers as they'll head to the Suzuka International Racing Course for round 4 or week 4 out of 12, and you'll be able to catch up with all the action live and uninterrupted here on the JP Broadcasting Network, live and direct from the land of the rising sun. However, well, our race leader Simon Edwards making his way through into the left-hander at Hull, as we see Maxwell third, and McHutchinson second, running in formation, because it's also not just good points for them, but it's also, this team's championship, there's also going to be good points for Team Radline. We are still waiting to hit that magical 2,000 subscriber mark here on JPB. We're not that far away from it, to be honest with you. So, folks, if you haven't subscribed already, please do so. It's one click for you, but it means a hell of a lot to us, as McHutchinson really starting to having to defend from Maxwell as Edwards goes on to the final lap with the new fastest lap of the race, the 1:25.781. This is very, very much touch and go between Maxwell and McHutchinson, but I think Dean, even with about 3.2 kilometers.
He's gone for it. Is he?
Oh. I think it's probably not worth risking it for the biscuit on this one.
Oh, you've got to risk it for the biscuit. The biscuit tastes nice. These two are.
Well, yeah. David Beasley is still in the pits after 2 minutes and 10 seconds. Looks like, well, Damien Gee keeping it pinned around the outside of Michael LeMay, but LeMay got the overspeed coming out of turn number 2. Meantime,
last chance for them to get anything done, because our race leaders got the only 2 left-hand corners. You could almost call this an oval, isn't it? If you turn up and put those 2 left.
Well, if you've got a straight line from Schlossgold to Rindt, then you could pretty much make it an Austrian-style oval. But when all the dust has settled here at the Red Bull Ring, well, put it on pole, got up to P5 in race 1. Race 2 goes the way of Simon Edwards, and it's going to be a Team Radline 2-3 this occasion. McHutchinson ahead of Maxwell, with James Barry rounding out 4th. Jorge Gonzaga makes it another good evening for the insert name e-racing team, as not only do they have a 3-4 from the first race, 4-5. It's going to be a run to the line for P6. Who's it going to be? It's going to be Michael LeMay by 6/100ths ahead of Damien Gee, who makes up 5 places to finish 7th, ahead of Jamie Bird, who started from pole position. David Beasley is
Mike
take.
Oh, he's come back.
Yeah, Mike Bousson, who might be, well, he decided to, he finished spectating, got back to racing. Jamie Bird takes 8th. David Beasley will not finish in ninth. Mark Bousson will finish 9 laps down and puts his personal best in. It is going to be the case. It's going to be Phil Glover in 9th, David Beasley 10th, Martina Ward 11th, Mike Bousson 12th, with Paul Crabb and Joseph Emmett, unfortunately, retiring very early. But Simon Edwards takes the win in that race. And we're going to have a look at one of the replays.
The race start again, so I just wanted to see this.
Huge
impact at Paul.
Paul Crabb from. Yeah, so he's got Simon Edwards right behind him. So the lights go out. Simon instantly avoids, and then it's it was Paul Crabb that. It was Mike Bousson that just went straight into the back of him. To be honest with you, and you see a front cowling, but Simon Edwards takes the win in race 2. So there are your results. So Edwards takes the win by 4.7 seconds after 17 laps of racing ahead of John McHutchinson, with Luke Maxwell rounding out the top 3. James Barry, Jorge Gonzaga rounding out the top 5 ahead of Michael LeMay, Damien Gee, James Burr, Phil Glover, David Beasley rounding out the top 10. Martina Ward 3 laps down in 11th ahead of Mike Bousson. Paul Crabb and Joseph Emmett rounding out the 14 drivers in that one. But, it's time to have a chat with a couple of drivers, and you know what? Let's bring our first one in. First of all, Luke Maxwell, good evening. A win in race 1 and a pretty solid P3 in race 2 here at the Red Bull Ring, despite the fact that myself and Dean were considering whether you were going to try and throw one up the inside of John. But how are you feeling?
Yeah, not too bad. Yeah, pleased with race 1. It's a good track for me, I think, Red Bull Ring, to be honest. And it's been a long time since I've had a feature race, so I need to break that duck again at some point. But I had a really good start in the feature, and then managed to get kind of up close, but I couldn't quite get on the back of John and Simon. And then obviously John made a mistake, and then I thought there's no point battling. I might as well. He's got good pace, so see if he can pull anything back on Simon. But I saved it to the end, and I just made a mistake on the last lap, to be honest, and or the lap before the last, and it just set me back a bit, so I didn't quite have the run in the end. So it was. I tried it, but I didn't have enough of an overlap to get there, so unfortunately.
Yeah, it's always an interesting one, because myself and Dean were deep in discussion during the feature race that this left-hand kink going up the hill in towards Remus at turn 2 isn't exactly a corner, is it? You are completely flat chat on the throttle. I think they just do it just to appease Formula 1 and the FIA Grade 1 listing that this circuit currently has at the moment. But
you're telling me there's a corner there?
Well, that's what Formula 1 wants to say to the FIA to appease them and say, yes, the Red Bull Ring's Grade 1. It's Grade 1. Don't worry. We want to race here. We want to race here. And I'm sure that Helmut Marko would have something to say about that as well.
It's a fun track. I do like racing here, but and it's obviously quite tight into turn 1, turn 2, especially. So, but yeah, it was good fun tonight. I think fairly clean all round. So, I thought I'd bump Simon in the first race, but I think it looks like John had just clipped him. So it's good for me, to be honest. Managed to get away, and makes a change for Dave Barry not to be right at the front, doesn't it?
Yeah, it was kind of unfortunate, because you were keeping on the defensive line, and we saw Simon trying to go around the outside of you at turn 3, and then it was just the slightest of contact. We know that with these Radical SR10s, that the minute you touch the rear of the vehicle with your car, like the rear of another vehicle, it can straight away spin somebody around, and then all of a sudden you're like thinking, why did that happen? How come, why did I have contact with them? But, this puts you into a good frame of mind for next week at Suzuka, doesn't it?
Is it Suzuka next week?
Unfortunately, don't shoot the messenger on that one.
Yeah, okay. Well, it's certainly not one of my best tracks, to be honest. When's Laguna Seca? Is that the week after?
Let's have a look at the schedule.
A couple of weeks.
Yes. So you got your Americana circuit, so week 5 Laguna, then at Road Atlanta week 6, and then Silverstone week 7.
Oh, a little tour.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
But so you say that Suzuka's not one of your favourite tracks, so to speak?
No, I never seem to do well at Suzuka. I've never. I know everybody loves it, but I hate it. So there we go. I don't know why I can't get on with it. Can't seem to get the pace there. So
Daytona's fun.
Yeah.
Two
Yes.
Daytonas.
Yeah. Yeah. Some fun corners. It's just when you put other cars on with me.
Oh dear. Oh, that old adage, yes. No, but well done tonight, Luke, and obviously that puts you in a good frame within the the drivers' standings. Anyone you want to give a shout out to before we let you go tonight?
Going to give a shout out to you guys. I think doing a good job as usual. Great commentary. I'll go and listen back now and hopefully catch some action.
Brilliant, Luke. Thank you so much for joining us, and good luck next week, Suzuki.
Cheers, fellas. Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to ask him one question. Actually, before he went, I was going to ask him. Well, we'll ask the next driver how many tons that bull is.
Well, shall I pull him back in because he just jumped back into the interview waiting room?
Yeah. Get him. We'll ask those questions out. See.
Luke, I know Dean, like literally, you jumped out.
I just heard him say just as I was jumping off. Yeah, so apologies.
So Dean, ask away.
Yeah, I was going to ask you this one. How many? What's the weight of that Red Bull here at the Red Bull ring?
What's the weight? I'm not sure what the weight is, to be honest, but steering's heavy.
All right, thank you. We'll see if the driver gets it. I like that.
Oh dear.
We just put tyres on, don't we, and fuel, and that's it. We're off.
Yeah, off and away you go. All right, Luke, we'll leave you to it, buddy. Have a good evening.
Cheers, boys.
We'll see you next week.
See ya. Bye.
Okay, next up, let's bring in Simon Edwards. Simon, good evening.
Good evening.
It's been a mixed bag for you tonight, but still a great recovery in race one, despite the slightest of touches when you were trying to go around the outside of Luke, and then you get a little tap on the right rear from John, but still managed to claw your way back up to, I think it was 6th position, but to put John under quite a significant amount of pressure. He had a drama coming out of turn 2 just before the halfway point, and you pick up another victory, winning by 4.7 seconds. How are you feeling after tonight?
We've just said everything I was going to say. Yeah, no, it's good. I was just going to sit behind John because he was pulling away from, I think it was Luke behind me, wasn't it? So I was just going to leave it to the last 5 laps. But then he made it easy for me. So the second race was easy. Off the start, I've just seen your replay. Yes.
But look at that race start. I mean, you did absolutely amazing. Look at that. Straight up into P2 as you see the drivers are squabbling around and those lightning reflexes. Amazing.
Yeah, it was an only just, and luckily John wasn't so near me to the side of me that I clipped him. Paul did seem to move a little bit, so I didn't even spot it initially, and then he stopped. Yeah, so that scared the life out of me.
I think it scared the life out of us in the commentary position as well, to be honest with you, Simon, because we were like thinking, oh no, who's that's not moved? And then we see this almighty moment. So like literally, we see you dive to the right-hand side with cat-like reflexes after the lights go out. And then I think Jorge moved out of the way. Somebody else moved out of the way, and then poor Joseph Emmett like completely ran straight. No, it's Mike Bousson ran straight into the back of Paul, and then Joseph Emmett got caught up in the crossfire. And then one of the funniest things I think myself and Dean were looking at, and we were like thinking, which car is that? On the exit of the pit lane, we found it was Mike Bousson, and he went, I've got a good view of the racing here, and then he went, I'm in the cheap seats. And then he sat there for about another 10 laps, and then decided, oh, I'm getting bored now. I'll just get myself across the line and score some points, But yeah, I think it is one of those moments where you don't expect it for someone in front of you to completely bog down, not move, and then you go like, right. I've got to do something here.
Yeah, it's not like you can stall these cars because they've got like an auto clutch protection on them. So he must have just forgot to start.
That happens. It happens. But of course, next week for week 4, we go to Suzuka. What are your hopes around that particular circuit? I mean, obviously, the amount of championships you've won in Radical Race Series, doesn't really need any introduction or any mention because a lot of people do know. But what are your? Is it a circuit that you enjoy at Suzuka?
Yeah, it's one of my favourites. I like this circuit, to be honest with you, because it can lead to good racing, and Suzuka can as well. So yeah, I really like Suzuka. And it's one of those tracks where you've got to manage your tyres over the race, even though our longer race is still a sort of sprint. There's enough corners to make it bad news towards the end of the race.
No, that's fair enough. Well, Simon, before we let you go, anyone you'd like to give a shout out to this evening?
Yeah, I'll give a shout out to John. I know he didn't intend that. He was just trying to follow Luke in the first race, so it was nice of him to apologise. So yeah, I'll give a shout out to John. He hasn't had one for a while.
Brilliant. Simon, thank you so much.
And my
well
question?
done tonight. Go on, Dean. Ask away.
Yes. What is the bull? The bull here at the Red Bull Arena, how much does it weigh?
Oh, it's metal, isn't it?
Yes.
107. No, no, maybe not that much. 76 tons.
Oh, not bad. It's 40 tons apparently out there from Phil across the pond.
They use cheap
Heavy.
steel. Yeah, cheap steel.
Cheap steel.
Well, it has rusted over time, being exposed to the elements. You know, it hasn't got that bronze shade of rust and corrosion for no reason at all, is it?
No.
Well, Simon, well done tonight, and we'll see you next week for week 4 at Suzuka. Thanks a lot,
Yeah,
buddy.
nice to speak to you guys. Thank you. See you.
Well, that really does wrap up our coverage of the Radical Race Series for Season 3, Round 3 at the Red Bull Ring. 7 days' time, we will be heading to the Suzuka International Racing Course, but there is plenty more to keep you all entertained over the coming days. We've got Round 1 of the TSRC GT4 iRacing Series. My good friends at the Sim Racing Collective. Then we've also got the 60 Minutes of the Glen for the NARS Virtual Modern Sports Car Championship 2024. We've also got the Virtual World Sports Car Championship for CMS 60 Laps of the Glen. And as always, we've got IGP Fun, Super Formula Lights, Season 3, Round 3. Funnily enough, it's going to be here at the Red Bull Ring on Sunday night. So, on behalf of Dean Biggles, who's been my partner in crime and also the man behind the cameras, my name is Alex Goldschmidt. Thank you so much for joining us. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Well, race hard, race fair, and if in doubt, go flat out. We'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. Good night.